Once Lily was out of sight, Sebastian turned his full attention back to Sicil. He looked at her for a long moment, a softness in his eyes that only Sicil could read. He could tell she was still processing, her thoughts working through the complexities of what had just transpired. But in this brief exchange, Sebastian had seen enough to know that Sicil still needed to feel that she had his undivided attention, especially after a moment like that. "Are you okay?" he asked gently, his thumb brushing over the back of her hand, a small but intimate gesture. Sicil met his gaze, her expression slightly clouded. "I'm fine," she replied, though there was a small, almost imperceptible quiver in her voice. "I just wasn't expecting her." Sebastian nodded, understanding the weight of her unspoken words. He knew Lily represented something to Sicil, something she couldn't just dismiss, but more than that, he knew that Sicil's reaction wasn't just about Lily. It was about what she feared in that moment. That perhaps she wasn't enough, that someone from his past could come and disrupt what they had. "Hey," Sebastian said, lifting her chin with his fingers so that she met his gaze. "You have nothing to worry about. You're everything to me. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise, okay?" Sicil nodded slowly, taking comfort in his words. She knew he meant it. He had always been clear with her about his feelings. Still, she wasn't going to let that overshadow what she knew was real between them. "I know," she said, her voice quiet but firm. It's hard sometimes." Sebastian smiled gently, leaning in to kiss her forehead briefly. "We're okay. We'll always be okay." His words were more than a reassurance. They were a promise. The server arrived just in time to interrupt the moment, offering to take them to their table. As they followed the server, Sicil's hand found Sebastian's, intertwining their fingers as if to remind herself that no matter what happened in their past, she wouldn't lose Sebastian again. The earlier awkwardness from their run-in with Lily slowly faded as Sebastian and Sicil settled back into their groove. They were laughing and enjoying their burgers, diving into an animated conversation about their upcoming meeting with the editor from KoRaVerse. They were both buzzing with excitement about their children's book, Climate Quest, and how it could make a real difference in teaching kids about the environment. Can you imagine if we could get every child under 12 have their own copy, inspiring how they could lead the change despite their young age? Sicil's eyes lit up as she spoke, almost glowing with passion. It could be the start of something big, a real movement for change. Sebastian grinned, matching her energy. "Yeah, it would be incredible. And with the editor on board, we actually have a shot at making this happen. We've got a strong team backing us now." Just as they were fully immersed in the moment, Ethan decided it was time to make his move. He had been sitting a few tables away, waiting for the right opportunity. Now that Dean had left, Ethan seized his chance. With a purposeful stride and a slight smile, he approached their table. Sebastian noticed him first, his gaze flickering over, and Sicil paused mid-sentence, turning her head as Ethan walked up. "Hey, Sicil, what a surprise!" Ethan's voice carried a hint of enthusiasm as he greeted her. She stood up to welcome him, and he leaned in to kiss her cheek, a gesture meant to stake his claim. Then, turning to Sebastian, Ethan extended a hand. Sebastian gave a tight smile but shook Ethan's hand without a word, choosing to keep things civil despite knowing exactly what Ethan was trying to do. He didn't want to make Sicil uncomfortable, so he held back any reaction even though it was clear Ethan had kissed her on purpose. Ethan pulled out a chair and joined them without an invitation, making himself comfortable. He leaned in with a wide smile. "I just wanted to say thanks again for the cake this morning, Sicil," his voice filled with exaggerated warmth. "It was really thoughtful of you. It honestly made my day." Sicil gave him a polite smile, but she couldn't ignore the slight tension that had crept into the atmosphere. This wasn't what she'd expected, especially not in front of Sebastian. She glanced at him, searching for a reaction, but his expression was calm, almost neutral, though she could sense a shift in his posture. "It was nothing," she said lightly, though there was a subtle edge to her words. "I'm glad you liked it." Ethan's smile sharpened. almost as if he were laying down a challenge. "Actually, I was thinking it will be great if you drop by our restaurant tomorrow. I've launched a new dish and I'd love for you to try it out. You can help me name it. It's inspired by your unique taste." Sicil felt a swirl of emotions, pride for Ethan's dedication and a flash of discomfort at how pointed his invitation was only for her. She glanced at Sebastian again, trying to gauge his reaction. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes were slightly narrowed, clearly processing Ethan's choice of words, especially our restaurant. Ethan was making it clear he wasn't stepping aside. He wanted Sebastian to see that he was very much part of Sicil's life. "Sure, Ethan, I'd love to," Sicil replied, trying to keep things light. She turned to Sebastian, adding quickly, "Seb, why don't you join us? I've told you about Ethan's restaurant, the Rustic Table, and it's really impressive. It's a perfect blend of sustainability and great food." Sebastian surprised them both by nodding with a smile. "Yeah, I'd love to. I've heard a lot about it. It's only fair I check it out in person." He then looked directly at Ethan, his smile polite but with an underlying sharpness. "And congrats on the new dish. I'm genuinely happy for you, Ethan." Ethan's smile faltered for a split second before he quickly recovered. "Thanks, Sebastian. I appreciate that." His voice was calm, but there was a definite edge. "I know you both have a lot going on with your project, but it's good to take a break every now and then. It's important to enjoy moments like these before everything gets too hectic." He stood up. "I'll leave you two to your meal. Don't want to interrupt any more of your work. I'll see you both tomorrow." Making it clear to Sebastian that his meal with Sicil now is not a date, but work meal. Ethan gave Sicil a brief bear hug before walking away. As he disappeared from sight, the silence between Sicil and Sebastian felt almost heavy. Sicil exhaled a breath she didn't realize she was holding, looking at Sebastian with a mixture of guilt and unease. "I'm sorry," she started softly, but Sebastian cut her off with a gentle shake of his head. "You don't have to apologize," he said, reaching out to squeeze her hand reassuringly. "You're allowed to have people in your life, and I don't want you to feel like you have to explain yourself to me." Sicil relaxed at his words, feeling comforted by his understanding. As they turned back to their meal, diving back into their discussion about Climate Quest, she couldn't help but feel a sense of pride for Ethan. He was pushing hard to make his restaurant a success, defying his father's expectations. It wasn't an easy path, and she admired his resolve. At the same time, she didn't want Sebastian to feel sidelined. It was a delicate balance, and she knew she had to tread carefully moving forward.